I'm Mark Kelly. The Fifth Estate starts now.
Lay down on the ground. Lay down.
They're hard to watch, even harder to turn away from. We're riding shotgun on a fatal police encounter.
Drop whatever you have in your hand.
The realities of policing captured by body-worn cameras.
Stop!
Watch what looks like the hot pursuit of a fleeing suspect.
Hands up now.
But was the suspect really running away? Watch the same chase from another angle. Sometimes what we think we see isn't a reality at all.
Stop there! Stop there! Get your hands up now!
The truth, the deception, the damage caught on camera. North Baton Rouge, Louisiana. This is the neighborhood where 37-year-old Alton Sterling lived and died. Sterling was a father of 5 who sold CDs on a folding table in a convenience store parking lot to support his family.
There's 50,000 Alton Sterlings in Baton Rouge. Guys who have arrest records that can't get from up under it. You know, Alton Sterling was...
I'm getting a tour of Sterling's neighborhood with Gary Chambers, an outspoken activist, born here, raised here, and fighting for justice here. The violent crime rate in North Baton Rouge is more than double the national average. But Chambers says it's not the criminals he fears.
What's the relationship like with the police in this neighborhood?
Most folks don't like the police too much. You know, I don't know if they're welcomed guests all the time.
Why not?
You saw Alton Sterling's video. Would you want to interact with cops who shoot and kill people?
The Triple S convenience store is located here at the intersection of death and despair. This is where one cell phone would capture 2 police officers firing multiple fatal shots, and the summer of blood would begin.
Police were responding to a call that night. There was a man out front of the store wielding a weapon, a man they believed to be Alton Sterling. But in a neighborhood like this, where there's deep mistrust for the law, the store owner's first reaction was to record the incident. And what was caught on camera that night were shots heard round the world.
Hey, bro, you fucking move, I swear to God.
Big boss. Big boss.
Get on the ground! Fuck!
Sterling had a gun in his pocket. Police said he reached for it. The man who shot the video says he didn't. Sterling's aunt, Vida Abasale, says the video reveals the truth. He was murdered by police.
I want to ask you what the death of Alton has done to you.
It's destroyed me. It's destroyed my family. We're not a broken family, but we're destroyed. As to where no matter what you do, it's not going to be a satisfaction to me because they did something that was awful. They murdered my nephew in cold blood, and nothing's being done about it.
It was Gary Chambers who wanted the world to see what happened that night. He urged the store owner who shot the video to share it on social media, knowing it would be a powerful weapon for change.
What do you think difference would have made if there were no cameras that night?
The police would have told a story and people would have believed it.
What difference then does the video make?
It shows you what happened. It gives you an inside view to whether something seems just or not. It gives you a clear picture to whether or not and it forces the account of the officer to line up with what you see on tape.
Mm-hmm.
And if that doesn't line up, you know that you got a liar.
We want justice.
The 38-second video triggered anger and rage across Baton Rouge. And the tragedy would deepen when a sniper shot 6 Baton Rouge police officers, killing 3 of them. The bloodshed and mayhem in Louisiana would spread across the country. And just one day after the shooting death of Alton Sterling came this in Minnesota.
We're waiting for a back. I will, sir. No worries. I will. He just shot his arm off.
Philando Castile was shot dead by police as he sat in his car. His girlfriend captured the last moments of his life, live streaming his death on her mobile phone.
Oh my God, please don't tell me he's dead.
Over the past year, in city after city across America, bystander videos changed the way many see police and the job of policing.
No justice, no peace. Prosecute the police. No justice, no peace.
It was Black Lives Matter versus Blue Lives Matter, spilling over into an already divisive election campaign.
I am the law and order candidate.
But for Gary Chambers, the videos that spilled from this summer of blood were a wake-up call for America.
These things have been happening to black people for a century. The only difference is now we're recording them for the world to see, and social media allows us to, in an unfiltered way, share that information.
Man, can you back up, please? We're trying to give him some air. We're gonna get an ambulance, all right?
Yeah, back up. Y'all got him on the floor. Y'all got him on the floor. Y'all talking about back up. You hear this?
The impact of these videos has put the focus on police accountability in the U.S. But remember, they were all randomly captured by bystanders. But there's another way to make sure these confrontations are almost always caught on camera. Put the cameras on the cops.
I'm going to be proposing some new community.
That's what the U.S. president is doing. Barack Obama has now committed $23 million to outfit police with body-worn cameras,
including up to 50,000 additional body-worn cameras for law enforcement agencies.
Strapped to an officer's chest, the cameras are small, the hopes for them huge, to act as an unbiased eyewitness to increase both public trust and police transparency. They're giving the public a never-before-seen view of the life and death decisions officers must make. Watch here as this officer is trying to de-escalate a tense standoff.
Just get down! Sir, please just get down! Sir!
The cameras can catch officers on their best behavior and their worst. In 2015, a police officer in Cincinnati shot and killed the driver of this car.
He's dragging you, man.
Yeah. You good?
I'm good. I just got my hand on my arm caught.
Yeah.
The officer says the driver tried to drag him with his car as he sped off. His claim is recorded on another officer's body camera.
Did you see him being dragged?
Yes. I saw it.
Okay.
But let's rewind the video recorded by the officer who fired the fatal shot to see what happened.
Go ahead and take your seatbelt off for me.
I didn't even do that.
Go ahead and take your seatbelt off. Stop. Stop.
It started with a routine traffic stop. The video shows the car does speed off, but the officer was never dragged. His arm was never even caught in the car. He's been charged with murder. His case will soon go to court. But the heightened scrutiny is sending a chill through police departments. Police unions have complained body cameras will make more officers pull back from policing.
Guys, you are on video.
Afraid of the viral video effect.
Hands behind your back.
You did a video too. Bye.
Some may still be debating the merits of police body cameras, but here at the Washington Post, they've come up with 991 reasons why they're an essential tool.
So as you can see, we're pretty much on pace to hit where we were last year.
In 2015, 991 Americans were shot and killed by police. The Washington Post created a database that paints a detailed picture of all the killings. The project won the paper a Pulitzer Prize.
3 times a day, someone is fatally shot and killed by a police officer.
3 times a day?
Yes, 3 a day, right?
Wesley Lowry is one of the journalists at the Post whose job it is to count the dead.
What impact has video had on interpreting these police shootings?
But it's changed the contours of this conversation, because previously it was the word of a police officer, a hero, someone who sacrifices every single day, against the word of a dead man who now we're going to look at their criminal history and all of their Facebook posts, if they've ever sworn or if they like rap music or what. And someone who's not capable of standing up for themselves.
There's no doubt the videos have changed the conversation about policing in America. But do body cameras always give us the whole picture, or just a different angle on a broken relationship? What you'll see next may change the way you see the effectiveness of police-worn body cameras.
You're down on the ground now! You're down on the ground now!
There's always more to our stories. You can stay connected with the Fifth Estate on Facebook. Get the latest on upcoming shows and special video features. And you can also keep up with the Fifth Estate on our new YouTube channel at youtube.com/CBC5th.
Body cameras worn by police officers don't just take us to the front lines of policing, they can also provide key evidence that can be used in court to convict suspects. Like in this incident in Florida. Watch the body cam video as police subdue a suspected drug dealer.
Put your hand behind your back!
The man was charged with resisting arrest, and the video seemed to support that charge. But as we'll see, videos can be deceiving. Seth Stoughton is a former cop, now an assistant law professor at the University of South Carolina. He set out to better understand police, lies, and videotape.
Body cameras are a tool. It's important to keep in mind that they are just one tool. And I'm very skeptical of any claim that a particular tool is a solution to a problem as big as police accountability or police community relations. That's just a general point, but more specifically, body cameras are limited.
To illustrate those limitations, Stoughton straps on a body camera for us, then sets up real-life scenarios. He plays the role of the arresting police officer. A law student, Marcurius Bird, acts as the suspect. Stoughton wants to illustrate how body cams can play with our perceptions.
Seth, you're doing something here called deceptive intensity. Explain that to me.
Yeah, this scenario illustrates that the camera, because of its location, because of the fact that it's on clothing and it flops around, can make a scenario look more intense than it actually is. It can be deceptively intense.
Stop!
Watch closely. What do you see?
Stop there! Get your hands up! Get your hands up now!
The video suggests Officer Stoughton is chasing Marcurius, who's avoiding arrest.
We tend to think of video footage as a neutral and objective and accurate record of events, when in fact it's not necessarily any of those things.
So, was the suspect running from police? It's kind of hard to tell from that angle. Now watch from another angle.
Stop there! Stop there! Stop there! Get your hands up! Get your hands up now!
The suspect is never running. The suspect is standing, stationary, and not moving. The sense of movement that you get, the idea that this is a foot pursuit, is deceptive. So if Marcurius was being charged with evading police or failing to obey a lawful order, this video might very well be used to show that he failed to obey the officer's order to stop.
Stoughton sets up a second scenario for us.
What do we even see here, and what's the importance of the audio?
The key to focus in on is audio provides context. It provides information that we need to interpret and understand what's going on the video. Without audio, you don't always get an accurate understanding of events.
Watch closely. Is the suspect resisting arrest? Is the arresting officer justified in using force? It's really not that clear. Now watch that very same takedown again from a wider angle with audio.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Stop resisting!
Not resisting, sir. Not resisting, sir.
Stop resisting,
sir.
So again, we need more information then video by itself will always provide. Sometimes audio will provide additional information, sometimes a different camera perspective is needed.
Think these scenarios are a little far-fetched? Well, remember the man police in Florida charged with resisting arrest? Now watch the same incident captured by a parking lot surveillance camera. The suspect was peacefully surrendering. After this video surfaced, 4 officers pleaded guilty to violating the man's civil rights. 2 were given prison sentences. Sure, it took 2 cameras for the truth to emerge, but in the end, video helped police the police.
And I think that it has certainly, in many cases, raised new questions and empowered people who are already asking those questions to say, see, we told you.
Journalist Wesley Lowery says despite the limitations of body cams, they do help serve and protect the public.
People who are killed by the police are killed in our name. The government is acting in our interest, right, to protect us. We pay for the guns, we pay for the bullets, right? And so I think we have some right and some need to pay attention to what's happening and to be able to know as much about these circumstances as possible so we can decide, do we want people to keep being killed in these circumstances or do we want to change something about it? And without the information, we can't make those types of decisions.
But what about here in Canada?
I felt a jolt in my back.
We'll show you an incident caught on camera in Ontario that's triggered a call for more police in Canada to wear body cameras.
Nothing compares to the pain that my sister must have endured when she was stabbed to death.
This is new information that I didn't have until 30 seconds ago. Everyone has heard about him. No one has actually seen him. It's like a ghost.
And I looked at it and thought, oh my God, that is her.
Police body-worn cameras are now a standard tool of the trade for thousands of officers in the United States. One survey says 96% of all major police forces in the U.S. have piloted or implemented body cameras. But they hardly exist in Canada. Most police departments are unconvinced the cameras are worth the time or the money. But there's also a price to be paid by not investing in the cameras. Chatham, Ontario, July 2015. A group of teenagers gets together to celebrate the summer. Jake Anderson was there, then 17 years old, a popular kid and solidly built student athlete. It starts with a house party but ends with the teenager looking like this after a violent run-in with the police. What happened between Jake and the Chatham-Kent police is in dispute, but both sides agree on how it all began. Jake and his girlfriend were walking through the cemetery across from the house party. They'd both been drinking that night. Police were called in, responding to a noise complaint. Officer Fraser Curtis went to investigate. According to Jake, this is what happened.
He had his pistol out and he was pointing it at us. And he told my girlfriend to come to him, and he like isolated me, and I was just like, at first I was confused, like why he had his gun out and like why he was like being aggressive towards me, because he was swearing at me and telling me to shut up and sit down. And I really was just trying to understand why he was there and what was happening.
Curtis sent the two on their way. Later, as Jake and his girlfriend are getting a lift home from his cousin, they pass a group of police officers, and Jake gives them the finger. Another officer, John DeForest, pulls the car over. They come face to face outside Jake's house. Again, this is Jake's version.
He's like, do you have ID? And I'm like, no, I'm only 17. I don't have any ID on me. And I just went to take a step, and then he grabbed me and pushed me, and then that's when it all took place in the road. And then another officer pulled up, and he hopped out of his car, and as the other one had me around the neck, that one started hitting me.
Police have a very different version. We obtained their reports. Both officers said an aggressive and intoxicated Jake started the confrontation. When they tried to arrest him, they claim he fought violently and broke free. They said he tripped and then threw some wild punches. They would finally subdue him. His dad, Ty Roberts, had to get him out of jail the next morning. He was furious with Jake.
I just looked at him and just shook my head. He didn't have no shirt on. He had scratches on him and all that stuff, but I just looked at him and shook my head. And when we left, when we got in the car, I was asking him, what did you do on assaulting police officers? You know how stupid that is, right? And he said, I didn't do nothing wrong. I promise you I didn't do nothing. And I didn't believe him.
Why didn't you believe him?
They made it sound very believable. They did.
The police made it sound
very believable. Very.
Chatham-Kent police don't wear body cameras, so it was their word against Jake's. If convicted, he'd have a police record that would follow him for life. But when Jake arrived home after his night in jail, he made a critical discovery that would change everything.
When I got home, and my whole family was sitting on the porch, and they're like, almost like crying. They're like, why would you do this? And I was just like, I didn't do anything. And they all went inside, and I was still sitting out there, and I looked up, and I realized that there was a camera. So I got jolted, and I got shocked.
Perched on the front porch, a security camera a few meters from where the confrontation with police took place that night. The camera caught most, but not all, of what happened. There was no sound. The images are somewhat grainy. Watch at the top of the screen as Jake and his girlfriend arrive in front of his house. You can see the flashing police lights as a cruiser pulls up behind them. There appears to be a scuffle, and what happens for the next 41 seconds is out of view of the camera, and we don't know who was throwing the punches. But then suddenly, Jake flies into view, into the rock garden in front of his house. Watch what happens next.
But then I felt an officer pick me up, and maybe he was picking me up to put cuffs on, but I got hit in the head maybe 6 times.
Hit with what?
A fist. He was a pretty big guy, so those are some pretty big blows to the head.
Remember, both police officers reported Jake was on his back throwing punches.
But then I felt a jolt in my back.
What was that?
A taser.
How many times do you think they hit you with the taser?
It was hard to tell. I got hit in the neck, got hit both sides of my neck. I got hit in the chest, right in the back a couple times.
Both police officers also reported Jake was jolted by the taser, not in the back, but onto the stomach area as he threw punches at the officers.
The whole time I was just trying, I was yelling help.
After seeing the video, Jake's dad now believed his son was the victim of police brutality.
He ran up towards you.
Yeah.
So they was basically just beating you up.
Yeah. That's when I was just begging them to stop tasing me.
You can't be going around beating up teenagers. Even if you thought he was a grown man, you can't be going around beating up and tasing people. You can't do it because they're cops, so they can do it and get away with it and lie about it.
How do you explain how quickly that escalated from one thing to the next?
My image. Being a young black teen, I think that, if I was in the police, if I was a police officer and a young black teen, I think he's cocky and he's trying to be bigger than me, so I feel like I have to be bigger than him, and I think that's what the situation was.
Chatham police didn't know part of the incident had been recorded, but they discovered the surveillance camera on a later visit to the house. By then, Jake and his dad had hired defense lawyer David Sander, who watched the video and compared it to the police reports filed from that night.
So I take a look at that and I say, where is this leading me in my head? Something is getting covered up. Something is happening here that is trying to make it difficult for anybody to believe what this young black man says.
Jake's dad filed a complaint accusing the officers of assault, racial discrimination, and lying in their reports. The Fifth Estate obtained the report from the internal police investigation. One officer admitted he was wrong in his recall of Jake's arrest, while the other conceded the circumstances seemed incorrect when viewed against the video. Still, the investigation concluded the complaints against the officers were unsubstantiated, but they were reprimanded for neglect of duty for filing incomplete reports. However, the video did exonerate Jake. Once the Crown watched it, the charges of assault and resisting arrest were dropped.
If it'd been the credibility of Jake versus the credibility of the police, in the absence of the video, what would have happened?
Oh, that would have been a very difficult case for a defense lawyer to try. to put up 17-year-old black kid, 16-year-old blonde girlfriend coming home from a party against 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 officers, all of whom have no motive to lie. Who has a motive to lie? The person that's accused.
Jake knows it was a fluke. He was saved from a conviction thanks to that well-placed surveillance camera. That's why he feels Chatham police should be required to wear body cameras.
I don't think they would have done the things they did if they knew they were being recorded, but they didn't know they were being recorded. We were in an area where nobody was watching. They're free to do whatever they want.
So the cameras could help police the police.
Yeah, if the police officer has a camera, then I feel like it would solve a lot of problems. Every time I think about it, it's like, I never thought I would have to yell help from while I'm being held by police officers.
Now, if this incident had happened just an hour down the road here in quiet Amherstburg, it would have likely been caught on camera. With just 16 frontline officers, Amherstburg is the only police force we found in Canada currently using body cameras. Oh, well, there's also the police department in Cornwallis, Manitoba, a police force of 1. Not exactly a huge endorsement of the new technology. Several big city departments like Montreal have launched pilot projects. Calgary police began wearing the body cameras but pulled them off the street due to technical problems. Toronto Police Service has announced after their pilot project it wants all 3,200 frontline officers equipped with cameras. Inspector Mike Barsky is the project lead. He says the cameras improve policing by letting the public know they're being watched.
I think there's a perception in the public that these cameras can help police the police. But from your perspective, it can also help sort of police the public as well.
And there's certainly suggestion that the camera does just that. Everybody seems to behave better with the cameras on. We deployed our cameras in the Danzig area of the city, one of the most violent homicide scenes that we've had in this city. And even those people that we know to be involved in criminal activity in those areas were polite and cordial with our officers while they're on camera. So
why do you think that is?
Well, you know, even a bad guy doesn't want his face on any sort of medium where he's being rude and disrespectful. As do our officers not want to be rude and disrespectful when they're on camera. And so, you know, we're in a world of social media. We're in a world of you know, rapidly increasing and evolving technology. Body-worn cameras is just one more piece to that puzzle.
Sam, put it on the ground.
But with the growing use of these cameras comes controversy. There are concerns about privacy and concerns that it's still up to police when to turn the cameras on or off.
Get on the ground. Get on the ground. God damn it.
So, like in this example from the U.S., police will still control what we can or can't see. But let's go back to Baton Rouge and the police shooting death of Alton Sterling. Both arresting officers were wearing body cameras that reportedly fell off during the incident. And yet no official police footage has ever been made public. Not the video from the police dashboard cameras or from the storefront surveillance cameras seized by police. Does the public have a right to see it? The U.S. Department of Justice says not yet. It continues to investigate the shooting and the videos.
Man, I'm out here protesting for my nephew Alton Sterling.
That's right.
No justice, no peace. We're not mad.
But Sterling's aunt, Vida Abu Saleh, says she won't let anybody forget the shooting. Body cameras, it seems, have also increased the expectation that now, more than ever, justice will be served.
We just want justice. Those 2 police officers, not everyone. And that's what they're not.
How has that been for you, the fact that you've waited and waited and waited for answers, and yet there has been
agony. Every day, every night, there's no closure. There's no closure. I can't even go to his grave. I can't go to his grave. My nephew, he can't call us anymore. We'll never see him get married. We'll never have those things. I demand justice. I'm not asking anymore. I'm not asking for justice. I'm demanding justice. I will not wait a year. I will not wait another 3 months. What about my life? What about black people's lives? We matter. No justice, no peace.
You'd have to watch it 4 or 5 times to see an item, and that's only if you're watching it in high def.
The following program contains scenes which may be disturbing to some viewers.
While we were investigating police incidents caught on camera, we came across a startling documentary about a young Toronto man who became entangled in one of America's most controversial police shootings. The documentary, entitled Frame 394, has just been shortlisted for an Oscar nomination. Here are a few excerpts from that story.
Chilling video released early today.
South Carolina police say Officer Slager pulled over Walter Scott's car for a broken taillight Saturday. What happens a short time after is all caught on video by a bystander.
Disturbing graphic images captured by Phaeton Santana, a 23-year-old Dominican-born barber who was simply on his way to work.
As the result of that video and the bad decision made by our officer, he will be charged with murder.
If convicted, Slager could be sentenced to the death penalty.
He needs to know that that wasn't an animal that he killed. He was my son.
When I first saw the video, I was pissed off, shocked, and fascinated that it was caught on tape. I offered my video skills to help indict the officer. Finding Frame 394 was an accident. The work that I'm doing in a legal setting would be considered the work of an expert witness. I am not an expert witness. Prior to a month ago, I had no idea that this job even existed.
The officer is seen handcuffing Scott as he remains face down after the shooting. In addition, the video appears to capture Officer Slager planting a taser gun next to Scott.
A cop actually planting evidence? That's crazy. Like, you never get that on camera. Like every cinematographer, I'd messed up enough footage. So image stabilization has always been like a part of the process. The New York Times reported that an object was planted beside the body. I just wanted to know, was it a taser or was it not a taser? I can figure this out pretty quickly. Stabilize the footage, post it to Reddit, and shit goes bonkers. It became the most commented GIF ever posted to Reddit. I was reading what everyone was saying about it. Lots of hatred, this cop should fry, like electric chair fry. I realized like I pretty much fueled hatred. I didn't like this guy, but now people want death on him. I felt pretty guilty. I knew there was important information in all the shakiness. So if I had captured this footage myself and I wanted to present it to people, I would want to make it as clear as possible in order to communicate what happened as clearly as possible. I made a timeline of wrestle on the ground, the shooting, dropping of the taser, going to the body and cuffing it, highlighting key moments, all stabilized, telling a clear narrative. I pretty much lost track of time, and my friends told me I was weird. I just wanted to know, did he plant a taser? Turns out he didn't. He planted a taser for 30 seconds. It's more like he would have planted a taser had a camera not been there. So why did he plant a taser? One of my next questions was, who dropped the taser? There's a part in the video where the taser falls backwards and it's bouncing on the ground. It's hard to see. You'd have to watch it 4 or 5 times to see an item, and that's only if you're watching it in high def. Most people watched it on their iPhone or on an iPad. There's a stainless steel part of the handle. When it's being thrown, it's sort of rotating through the air, and then sometimes it's reflecting more of the sky and it picks up as a bright patch. This frame maps one more clear point in the ballistics trajectory, which means that the officer didn't throw it. It means that when the officer was unholstering his weapon, that Walter Scott threw it.
But did the suspect, Walter Scott, really grab the officer's taser? Frank Piazza is an expert in video forensics.
I don't see anything dangling down. If there is, we sure can't see it.
So I built that in 3D because I wanted to know, does it make sense? Is it gonna feel like a thrown item once that's animated? This is where I feel bad because I'm almost building a case for someone I initially didn't like. It is entirely possible that the officer didn't see the taser being thrown. The Supreme Court states that if you feel threatened for your life, you can shoot to kill. You only have like a certain field of vision. You don't see the throw and you've already gone for your weapon, he's gonna think it's a threat. As I figured this out, I started posting some of it, and generally no one cared. Reddit was great for perpetuating the "this cop is evil" story, and it was awful for telling the more nuanced story. You want to be able to say, this person is evil, this person is not evil. This is not that, this is real life. Someone is kind of lying, kind of not lying. You have someone running because it makes sense to run, but it's against the law, and then it's a mess.
That's it. Surprise, surprise.
Hello.
This is Dan. Dan is the fellow from Toronto. Remember early on, he sent us some video work. I really just wanted to talk to you and tell you that we're working on it. Dan came down here on his own. He switched sides. He's a Benedict Arnold. He started out on their side until he looked at the video, and then he switched sides. Apparently, Scott didn't want to hear from him anymore once he told him what the whole picture was. Yeah. Tell him the story.
So originally I was trying to, make things look worse for you, and that went viral. I think there was 6,000 comments that were not in your favor, to put it nicely. Yeah, and then I just sort of went down the rabbit hole of what else did I miss in this video. So what's odd is that the clearer the video gets, the more, is innocent the right?
Well,
the more consistent it is with your statements,
right.
The cleaner the video. Which normally it's, you want a video of a crime to not exist, or a video
Yeah,
of...
we want your video to be the best it can be. We don't want mud. So what Dan has showed us this morning is very compelling.
But I'm not opposed to switching sides again.
Well, TSA might not be his biggest problem if he says that again.
All right, thanks, guys. Good to meet Dan. Good to meet everybody.
All right.
Thank you.
All right, look for a maple leaf under your pillow.
Oh, yeah.
Canadian Tooth Fairy. All right.
Bye,
Michael.
Bye. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Benedict Arnold. I have no idea who that is. I still haven't looked that up. Said it was someone who switched sides. I don't like that terminology of switching sides because I'm not on a side. I don't want to befriend a murderer. This is the vicinity. I've built this place digitally. I've moved the trees around. Weird being here.
We're getting to a point of fatigue of trying to analyze individual videos of individual cases, arguing about, in this moment of the video, I see this, and in this moment, I see that. We can't keep having that kind of argument. Democracy depends on faith in institutions. And when you have institutions where people begin to lose faith that those institutions will treat them fairly, that the power that they vest into those institutions will be equally exercised over all citizens, then that is a danger for democracy itself.
No justice! No peace! No justice! No peace!
We're losing sight of the larger sociological and historical moment that we are witnessing as a country.
There's always so much more to our stories, and now we have a dedicated place for you to see all things Fifth Estate. On our new YouTube channel, you can watch full episodes and special features. This week on our channel, what you see isn't always what you get. As you've seen in our story, police-worn body cameras can distort as much as they reveal. In this demonstration, watch how what looks like a traffic stop filmed with a body camera makes it look like a man may be reaching for a weapon.
Stay in the car.
Now take a look from another angle.
Is your license, registration, proof insurance, please? Get in the car. Get in the car. Stay in the car.
He was just reaching for his wallet. For that full feature and more, go to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/CBC5th and make sure you subscribe to keep up to date with the Fifth Estate.
The center is number 42, Bob McEwen.
Before the CBC, I had the CFL.
Casada takes the snap from his Yale center, Bob McEwen.
Now, a very personal story about brain injury in Canadian football.
Through my playing career, I had several concussions, but none more profound than the one that took place right here at Lansdowne Park.
But my friends and I never worried what was happening inside our heads.
I saw this mysterious disease take Rod's capacity one day, 1 month, 1 year at a time.
And there's Tracy finishing it. It's the deadly problem the CFL wants to ignore. But we can't.
Nothing compares to the pain that my sister must have endured when she was stabbed to death.
This is new information that I didn't have until 30 seconds ago.
Well, you got an answer? Do you have a profile?
I just thought, oh my God. Oh my God.
It was believed that maybe Charles Manson might have had something to do with the Reed murder.
It was only a couple of months before that Sharon Tate was killed. and she looks so much like Sharon Tate.
He's like a ghost. Everyone has heard about him. No one has actually seen him.
And I looked at it and thought, oh my God, that is her.